3. But I'm going to go into chapter 2 because we're not going to read this, but it has an important point in here. The descendants of the Jews were taken captive who returned to Jerusalem and Judah were listed. The children of the priests whose genealogy is lost are denied the priesthood. Faithful people contribute to the building of the temple. So they're getting everybody organized, getting them set with the listings that they need. Now, what I wanted to point out is the children of the priests whose genealogies were lost were denied the priesthood. I remember on my mission, it was actually when I wasn't here very long, that we had, I had somebody come up and say, well, the Book of Mormon can't be true because it talks about priests in the Book of Mormon, but it doesn't say anything in the Bible about them being priests. And I'm going, but it says right here that some of the people didn't even remember their genealogy. You can't say, oh, well, everything was written down in the Bible. It wasn't. This is an ancient record, and there was a lot that wasn't ever even understood, and people were forgotten easily. They said, well, how could he leave Jerusalem and people not notice that he was gone? Well, it was only a few years later that the whole Jerusalem was destroyed. A lot of people were killed. They wouldn't have been noticed. That is the important thing. People were scattered at that time. I don't see how that person could come to that conclusion if they knew the history properly. So let's get back to this. We're in chapter 3, and we're going to see that they're going to make a start at the temple. And when the 7th month was come, the children of Israel were in the cities. The people gathered themselves together as one man to Jerusalem. Then stood Jeshua, the son of Zodak, and his brother, the priest, and Zerubbabel, the son of Stilatil, and his brethren, and builded the altar of God of Israel, and offered burnt offerings thereon, as it is written in the law of Moses, the man of God. Now, who is Zerubbabel? Might be good to know. Zerubbabel was a descendant king of Joachim, who was carried away captive into Babylon. Zerubbabel was appointed as the governor of Judah, making him the last descendant of David mentioned in the Bible to hold a leadership position in Jerusalem. The temple that the formerly exiled Jews built in Jerusalem is sometimes called the Temple of Zerubbabel. They set the altar upon his bases, for fear was upon them because of the people of those countries, and they offered burnt offerings whereon unto the Lord, even burnt offerings morning and evening. So they're starting to worship, but they are concerned about the people that are there already. The ones that have replaced the Israelites, the Samaritans, as they start to be called, or whatever other people might have come into that land since then. They are a bit worried about them. And they kept also a feast, also the Feast of the Tabernacles, as it is written, and offered the daily burnt offerings by number according to the custom as the duty of every day required. Afterward offered the continual burnt offering, both the new moons and of all the set feasts, the Lord that were consecrated, and every one that willingly offered a free will offering unto the Lord. So they're starting to do these things that they have seen in the law that should be done, and they're doing it finally again in Jerusalem. From the first day of the 7th month began they to offer burnt offerings unto the Lord, but the foundation of the temple was not yet laid. So they started the offerings, started making the covenants and everything they could before. They wanted to make sure that they were doing what they needed to have done. And they gave money also unto the masons and the carpenters, and meat and drink and oil unto them of Zidon and them of Tyre, to bring cedar trees from Lebanon to the sea of Joppa, according to the grant which they had of Cyrus the king of Persia. Now, in the 2nd year of their coming into the house of God at Jerusalem, in the 2nd month, began Zerubbabel the son of Stiltiel, and Jeshua the son of Zodak, and the remnant of their brethren, the priests and the Levites, and all they that were come out of the captivity unto Jerusalem, and appointed the Levites from 20 years old upward to set forward the work of the house of the Lord. Then stood Jeshua with his sons and his brethren, Kadmiel and his sons, the sons of Judah, together to set forward workmen in the house of God, the sons of Hendad, with their sons and their brethren, the Levites. When the builders laid the foundation of the temple, the Lord, they set the priests in their apparels and with trumpets, and Levites and the sons of Asaph with cymbals, to praise the Lord after the ordinance of King David of Israel. So they're bringing home this as much of the glory that they remembered, or that not that they remembered, but that was talked about of clear back to David's day, when they would worship with joy and gladness and music, and they sang together by chorus in praising and giving thanks unto the Lord, because he is good, for his mercy endureth forever toward Israel. And all the people shouted with great shout when they praised the Lord, because the foundation of the house of the Lord was laid. But many of the priests and Levites and chief of the fathers, who were ancient or old men, that had seen the first house when the foundation of this house was laid before their eyes, wept with a loud voice, and many shouted aloud for joy. It must have been amazing to them, realizing that they got to come back, and it must have been quite overwhelming. So the people could not discern the noise of the shout of joy from the noise of the weeping of the people, for the people shouted with a loud shout, and the noise was heard afar off. So the temple's laid. Do we feel that when we see a temple in our time? I think a lot of us do. When we see the foundations laid and we know what's coming next.